Alright, hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle Krazik. I am the coordinator of the Fitness Center and Wellness Programs. We are kicking off Be Fit Week. Technically it started yesterday and a little bit today with Nick Springer, who is a two-time Paralympic. Coming from Phoenix, Arizona, originally from New York, big Rangers fan. We're in the playoffs right now. He currently travels around the world for rugby, but also to promote awareness for vaccinations. We are also very lucky to have some of his family and friends here, as well as the doctor from Springfield who actually saw Nick when he needed the most help. So, to get this started, please silence your cell phones so you don't have them ring during this, and we'll get started with Nick. Please welcome him.
Well, thank you very much, Danielle. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to welcome you to my presentation tonight. Now, I just want to say really quickly, I'm actually a little bit nervous because I give presentations. I do about 70, 80 of these a year. Normally, I give to complete strangers, so I can make up whatever I want, and they have no way to prove me wrong. I have family here. So when I feed you shit like I saved a bunch of orphans from a burning building, and that's why I lost my legs, and they shake their heads, you know that, nah, I don't think you did that. Anyway, I'm here today to speak to you a little bit about my life, a little bit about my history, about what happened to me when I was 14 years old, who I was before, who I became after, and how that all ended up in helping me become the man who won an Olympic gold medal in 2008. Now, if you'll turn your attention to the screen, you'll see my ugly mug up there. Damn, I gotta shave. But I just want to say that a couple of these slides are from when I got hurt. A couple of them are very brutal. They get really in-depth and very detailed about the horrors and the dangers of the disease that I contracted when I was 14. And this first slide I have up here that I'm about to pull up, I just want to warn you, people find it very intense, very difficult to understand, because believe it or not, I actually used to be really cute. Oh, shucks. I went through a Popeye the Sailor Man phase. It lasted from like 2 to, I don't know, 29 or something like that. But I was born in 1985 in Brooklyn, New York. For those of you who are as shitty at math as I am, that makes me 30 years old today. Not today, but today. Growing up, I was really active. I was a kid who always tried everything, who always wanted to do everything, who wanted to see the world, who wanted to try every activity possible. I was a big hiker, as you can see in that picture. I, for some reason, decided I wanted to play the bagpipes when I was 5, which, I gotta tell you, the bagpipes are a badass instrument. They're an instrument of war. And I'll tell you a really cool story a little bit later about that. But I discovered a sport, hockey, when I was 5 years old. First time I stepped onto the ice, and I was hooked. That's what it was. A hockey player. I mean, I'm 30 years old and I still identify myself as a hockey player, partially because I'm missing 6 teeth, and that just sounds badass. Yeah, I've got a bunch of teeth playing hockey. This guy gets it. But I discovered hockey and I fell in love. I played hockey. I started playing goalie. When I was 13 years old, I was actually playing on 6 different teams at once. I was playing about at least 11 times a week. I was stepping on the ice to skate with one of my teams. When I was, how old was I when I got hurt? 14, thank you. When I was 12, I decided that I really wanted to take my hockey to the next level. I was in 7th grade, or I was about to go into 7th grade, so I decided I was going to transfer to the New York City Catholic school system, because in New York City, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Catholic high school system has the best hockey league in the country. And I wanted to see how far I could take it. I mean, I had those dreams that every kid has about playing for the Rangers one day. For you Bruin fans, I'm sorry, I'm sure your golf career is going really well right now. But I had dreams of making it to the NHL, playing for a Stanley Cup, winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, what kid doesn't want to make it to the highest level of whatever they do? Whether they're a rugby player, a hockey player, a cook, You always want to make it to the highest level. You always want to be the best at whatever you are, whatever you enjoy, whatever you want to be. You always want to be the best at it. And I was no different. So I transferred when I was 12 to a Catholic middle school because it was just easier to get into a Catholic high school that way. I spent 7th and 8th grade there. And I gotta keep going over and hitting this thing. That's just me scuba diving. I just kind of like that picture, so I threw it in there. In 1999, I had just graduated from the 8th grade. I had been accepted into the #1 high school of my choice, the top pick that I really wanted to go to, and they had already announced that I was going to be the starting goaltender for the junior varsity team. And my sophomore year, I would take over the starting goalie, as long as I didn't really screw things up for the JV team, I would take over the starting goalie role for the varsity team. So I was excited. My future was set. My path was on track. I graduated from 8th grade, and I just spent the summer, in my mind, I was going to spend the summer enjoying myself. Because after this, I was going to start high school. I was going to move on to the next stage of my life. Take more responsibilities. Just have to grow up a little bit more. In August of that year, I attended a summer camp. That's actually about 90 miles west of here, in a small town called Beckett, Massachusetts, right by Pittsfield, for those of you who know the area. The camp, appropriately enough, was called Camp Beckett. This was my 3rd year in a row going. And this was something I always loved. This is the time of year that I always look forward to. I was an outdoorsman. I loved hiking. I loved camping. And for 1 month every summer, I was with my friends at a summer camp that was in the Berkshire Mountains, out in the woods, a camp that took pride in its seclusion. 2 weeks into the month-long session, my cabin, which consisted of 8 boys, 8 campers, ages 13 and 14, 2 counselors in their 20s, and 1 trip leader, went on a 3-day trip on the Appalachian Trail. Now, the Appalachian Trail, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's absolutely beautiful. It goes from Maine to Georgia, and it actually passes very close by here, very close to Springfield. We went on a 3-day, 20-mile trip, 20-mile hiking trip. Now, for those of you who are athletes, and this is just everybody does it growing up. I mean, hell, I was in college, I used to take a hell of a lot of beer bongs. You share drinks. It's normal. When you're on a rugby field and you have a quick 5 seconds, you run over, you grab a water bottle out of your teammate's hands, you take a swig. Why? Because it's hot, because you're working your ass off, because you're thirsty. When we were hiking that trail, and that bottom picture is actually taken during that trip, when we were hiking the trail, we weren't thinking about what every mother tells their kid growing up. Watch out for germs. Don't share utensils. Don't share water bottles. We're 14-year-old kids. It's August. It's hot. We're hiking. We're tired. Somebody will pull out a water bottle, and we would just think, I'm thirsty, and I want a swig of that. The long-term repercussions weren't even crossing our minds. It was just the fact that I'm thirsty and I want a sip. So after 3 days, we finished the hike. We returned back to the camp. And we'd been out in the woods. We'd been sweaty and dirty, and our muscles were fatigued, and we hadn't slept very well. We were exhausted, physically, mentally. But we had accomplished something huge as a group. It had brought us closer together as a group. It had been a bonding experience. We got back to the camp around 3. Around 5 o'clock that evening, right after dinner, I don't want to say I felt sick, but I felt very uncomfortable. I just had to get out of there, get some fresh air. Now, August, this time of year around here, is beautiful. 80 degrees, 85 degrees. I went outside and immediately I was freezing. I thought I'd just come down with a bad case of the flu. So I went to the camp infirmary. The nurse on staff diagnosed me with just a run-of-the-mill case of the flu, nothing bad. What do you do when you have the flu? You rest, you relax, you wait it out. That's kind of what I saw the next 2 days or so of my life being, just waiting it out. Over the course of the evening, my symptoms got a little worse, and they were just your typical flu-like symptoms. Vomiting, diarrhea, low-grade fever, that kind of icky, achy feeling that comes with having the flu. I mean, pretty much everyone in here has had a flu at least once, right? Yeah, we all know what it feels like. I didn't sleep very well that night, but the next morning when I woke up, I actually felt a little bit better. It was Friday, August 6th, a day that I'll never forget. Around noon, the entire camp went to lunch, and me and the nurse stayed behind. I took a shower, decided to take a cold shower, try to wake myself up a little bit. Figured maybe after that I would go back and try to rejoin my cabin, my friends, rejoin my group. That's all I wanted to do at that point. All of a sudden, after I was walking back from the shower, I collapsed on the floor. I couldn't have been going any farther than across the stage. And I crumbled. In a blink of an eye, from mid-chest down, I was pins and needles. I couldn't feel anything. The nurse on staff thought that I was just going through some bad muscle spasms. She told me, well, you're not really out of the woods yet. You still have just a bad case of the flu. And the fact that you hiked 25 miles, notice how it's bigger and bigger every time I do it. Every time I say how much I've hiked. Seeing how you hiked 30 miles, your body's going through muscle spasms. And the fact that you're sick is just making it feel worse. She goes, okay, I'm going to go to the next room and get you some Benadryl. And the time it took her to go get those 2 pills and come back, she was standing over me with a look of fear and shock on her face. Because she saw I wasn't wearing a shirt. Don't try to picture it, it'll go blind, burn out your retinas. I'm a little out of shape these days. Come on, that's funny, laugh. I told you, you should brought tequila to this. She was standing over me, looking down on me, and she saw little purple blotches beginning to appear on my abdomen. She immediately recognized that as a telltale sign of blood poisoning. She called the camp doctor, who was right down the street. The camp doctor showed up, took one look at me, said, call 911 and tell them to hurry. I was rushed to Berkshire Medical Center in Pittsfield. When I got there, the doctor recognized it as one of 2 things, either Rocky Mountain spotted fever or bacterial meningitis, both of which were extremely deadly, and both of which he knew he wouldn't be able to do anything about. This was a small mountainside medical clinic. They were used to broken bones and stitches and concussions. They didn't have the technology, the personnel to treat such a dangerous disease like what was rushing through my blood, killing me in front of his eyes at that very moment. And he knew this. So we had to arrange that I was going to be airlifted to Bay State Medical Center here in Springfield. Before he did this, however, and this is how serious he thought it was, he didn't think I was going to survive. And he didn't really know what to do in this situation, except for to call my mother. Because he felt that this was going to be the last conversation we would have together. And he thought that we had the right to say goodbye. He held the phone up to my ear, and he told me to say my final goodbye to my mother. That is something that no family should ever have to go through. No child, no parent should ever have to think about. And that's the last thing I remember, because he induced me into a coma for 2 months after that. When I got here to Bay State, I was met by actually a very beautiful young woman who was in the audience today, who I haven't seen in about 15 years. She didn't give me much of a chance of survival. And if I'm wrong here, just don't tell me until after, because I'm trying to impress the kids. She didn't give me much of a chance of surviving, maybe 10% at best. She told my father, she goes, look, I would never say this, but I feel like I need to prepare you. I don't think your son's going to make it through the night. I need you to be prepared for the worst. A priest even tried to come into my room and read me my last rites, and my mother kicked him out. Which, I mean, like, I was raised Catholic. That's badass. I was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis, a rare form called meningitis. Meningitis is the most fatal preventable disease in the U.S. to this day. And I was so lucky to have survived. They told my parents that there was a good chance I was going to lose my life, but if I did survive, they told my parents that there was a good chance that I was going to be brain dead, be a vegetable. They told my dad I might lose my penis. Oh my God, thank God. And my arms and my legs, fuck, I don't need them. Sorry, I know you have your kids here. For 1 month, my family watched helplessly as this disease ate away at my body. My little sister, who was here in the front row, she was 10 years old at the time. And all she could do is sit by her older brother's bedside. Her older brother, who was supposed to be her protector, and her best friend, and her caregiver. And like, I would protect her from anybody, but I was the only one who was allowed to like kick her ass. Because you know, I'm the older brother, it's my job description, right? I did a good job of that too. All she could do was sit by my bedside and hope that one day she would have her older brother back. 3 weeks after getting sick, the doctors, they went back up to my parents and they said, okay, we beat the disease, he survived it, now we're just going to have to live with the consequences. And my family knew that there was going to be amputations. They knew that I would probably lose some of my arms, some of my legs, but they didn't care. They didn't care because it's not about what I had lost, it's about what I still had. It's about what they still had. They still had their little boy. I still had my life. I might have lost my arms and my legs, but I still had a future. And after losing my arms and legs, and after I went through this whole ordeal, and I woke up from a coma 2 months after contracting bacterial meningitis, I remember my dad telling me everything was going to be okay. He told a 14-year-old boy, you just lost your arms and your legs, but you survived. And I just looked up at him and I said, okay. Okay, I survived. That's the most important thing. Now the topic today that I'm really going to focus on is control. No matter what it is, whether it's in sports, whether it's in your studies, whether it's in life, there are going to be things that you can't control. We couldn't control me getting sick. I couldn't control the fact that I got meningitis and lost my legs. They were gone. It was in the past. I could control what my life was going to be like after that moment. I could control the fact that I had a whole future in front of me. A future that I was going to make the best I possibly could. I was an athlete before I got hurt. I was a hockey player. And all I wanted to do was play hockey again. That's me and my hockey coach, by the way. And as you can tell, I was a sick kid. I was 53 pounds when I woke up from a coma. Now this is a 14-year-old kid who was an all-star hockey player before. Right, family? All-star hockey player? I was an all-star hockey player before. I was hiking the Appalachian Trail with a 20-pound backpack on my back. And now I was so weak, I couldn't even sit up on my own. I couldn't get dressed on my own. I could barely feed myself. As you can tell, I learned how to feed myself before I got out. This disease had weakened me to the point where I was back to an infancy-like stage. I needed help with everything. But I knew that with enough hard work, I would get my life back. I would get my independence back. I was a 14-year-old kid. What 14-year-old kid wants to rely on their parents for everything? I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be back out there with my friends. I wanted to be back on that hockey rink. I spent 6 months in there you go. I spent 6 months in the hospital. 5 of those in a burn unit. And I tell you, if there's one place you never want to find yourself, it's in a burn unit. That place is miserable. That is probably, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy, being burned. I spent another 6 months after that in a rehabilitation hospital, learning to do the most simplest tasks, learning how to feed myself, learning how to get dressed again. A year after getting sick, my goal, the thing that stood out most in my head, was that I wanted to get back on the ice. I discovered a sport, hell did I just say? I discovered a sport called sled hockey, which a friend of mine hooked me up with this guy named Victor, who's a paraplegic from New York City, who got me out on a sled. This is the first time I ever got out on a sled. I had socks with hockey sticks duct taped to my arms. That's how ghetto fabulous we were. You know what? I could barely push. I could barely get across the ice. I might not have had skates strapped to my feet, but I was back on the ice. I could hear the echoes of the ice rink. I could smell. And for those of you who have ever played hockey, there's a very distinctive smell to it. It's awful to everyone unless you are a hockey player. That it's like the greatest smell in the world. But I could smell the ice rink. I could hear the ice rink. I could feel the ice underneath my, well, I would say feet, but I think ass is probably more appropriate. I was a hockey player again. And I had a team. Victor invited me to come play with his New York City team, which, okay, even though I'm a Ranger fan, they were sponsored by the Islanders. It broke my heart. But I began playing sled hockey full time, and I excelled at it, and I was good. And I had that sports mentality. I had been an athlete since I was 5 years old, and even though I'd lost my arms and legs, my mentality didn't change. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to get better. The last 3 years I played hockey in high school, I led my team in assists. I was a shitty goal scorer, but I could set up, the prettiest of plays. Again, my family's probably shaking their head, because, yes, but... When I was 17, Victor, the one who got me into sled hockey, he introduced me to a new sport, one that he thought I would excel at. Wheelchair rugby. And he told me wheelchair rugby, and I'm thinking, like, wait, how's that going to work? I was like, just go check it out. So I did. And I knew a little bit about rugby before, but wheelchair rugby, I discovered, is nothing like rugby. It's a completely 100% original sport. It shares a common name because it's full contact in wheelchairs. Now me, I was a hockey player and a bagpiper, and I was going to go play wheelchair tennis or something prissy like that. I wanted contact. I wanted fun. Yeah, I see the rugby team back there, all smiling and nodding. Are you guys a rugby team?
Yeah. That's hockey right there.
Hockey's back there?
Hockey's right there, yeah.
Hey, you guys are my two favorite sports, so I love both of you equally. I like hockey better. I discovered wheelchair rugby, and immediately it was like, wow, I can be really good at this. I can make a name for myself. I can have a career. I had to make a very difficult decision. Either keep going with rugby and retire from hockey, which I loved. I used to paint smiley faces on my stumps. I'm just going to skip this because I'm wearing spandex and I look good in spandex. Either keep playing hockey and rugby simultaneously, or retire from hockey and really focus on rugby. And I went, you know what? I'm going to go with the second one. I'm going to retire from hockey, a sport that I love, and I'm going to focus everything I have on rugby. Victor, he had gone to the Paralympics with hockey in 1998. And he was kind of my mentor in all this. He's the one who said, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to be able to focus, you can only focus on one. And he helped me come to the decision that even though I loved hockey, I had more of a future in rugby. So when I graduated from high school, I kissed mom and dad goodbye, gave a little sister one last punch in the arm. Love you. And I moved to Florida. Now this is the college campus that I went to. It's a college called Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I like to show this picture because I just like making other people jealous. We were on the Gulf of Mexico. We had a private beach on the Gulf of Mexico. There's a reason it took me 6 fucking years to graduate. But I moved down, and one of the reasons, besides from the fact that it was a private beach on the Gulf of Mexico, which was awesome, was the fact that Florida, Tampa Bay, had one of the best rugby teams in the country. And the team accepted me. They said, okay, we can clearly see you have a future. Why don't you come and play for us, and we'll teach you. So I went, and I started playing. And like any sport that you do, when you move up to the next level, I got my ass handed to me for about a year and a half. But once I got comfortable enough, and once I got really good at it, everything came very easy. When I was 20 years old, I was selected to the United States developmental team, where we went down to a tournament in Rio de Janeiro, where we won a gold medal. And all of a sudden, the Olympics, my dream of being at the top of my game was in sight. Now, like I said, I always wanted to race that Stanley Cup. For the Rangers, not the Bruins, man. Screw you guys. I always wanted to raise that Stanley Cup. But I want to be at the top of my game. And when I started playing rugby, I went, okay, I want to go to the Olympics. I want to win a gold medal. That became my goal. Every kid grows up watching the Olympics. I remember when in 1996, when the Olympics were in Atlanta, I remember watching it. I'm like 10 years old, and seeing them get that gold medal around her neck and thinking, that must be one of the greatest films in the world. But never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that one day I would actually be in line to possibly do that. After making the U.S. developmental team the following year, I was invited to try out for the USA team. We were going to the World Cup. And I worked my ass off. And I tried, and I was the youngest one trying out at like 50, and it would only take 12. And it got down to the final day, got down to the final cuts, and they announced the team, and I was not. And I was disappointed. Anyone would be disappointed. But in my mind, I'm 20 years old. I'm thinking, this could be a great learning experience. I was telling myself that I'm going to use that feeling, that terrible feeling of being cut to motivate me more. I'm going to use the last couple months as a motivating experience to better myself so the next time it comes around, I don't get cut. But that next time never actually happened. Because 2 weeks later, I just got my wisdom teeth taken out. I was like Vicodined off my ass at this point. Probably drooling, watching SpongeBob, giggling. When I got a phone call from my coach saying that a player had dropped out of the running, had dropped off the team, and that it was his decision that I was going to replace him. All of a sudden, I was on the U.S. national team that was going to the World Cup in 2006. The youngest player on the team. I went to that World Cup with the mindset of, I just don't want to be happy. I don't want to consider myself lucky to just be here, which I was, but I didn't want to think that way. In the gold medal game in New Zealand against New Zealand, we won by 4 points. There was only 4 turnovers in that entire game, and I had one of the 4 turnovers. I was 21 years old, and I just won a World Cup. But I wasn't going to quit there. I had my real prize, my eyes set on Beijing in 2008, the Paralympics. The next 2 years, I worked my tail off. I did everything I could to better myself. I made the Beijing team. I made that cut. We went to China. I was the only player on the team who started all 5 games. And we won. Now is usually when you clap. Oh, no, please, you don't have to clap. In the gold medal game, we faced Australia, who had that fat piece of shit there, number 3. At the time was the best player in the world, and we faced him knowing that it was going to be a challenge for us. And it was. They actually had me defending him. But we were able to win. We took home the victory by 9. I was 23 years old. Oh, by the way, there's Victor. The guy who got me into sled hockey. He looked a little younger in the other picture, and he had frosted tips. What did we ever see in the 90s? Chris, help me out here. I ate frosted tips in the 90s. I want to go back and punch myself.
Yeah, I bleached my hair though.
Victor came all the way to Beijing to watch me win. And I told him that he was such a big part of me being there. He was my mentor. He had picked me out of the crowd at my weakest moment and said, this kid's got talent. And one of the reasons that, I'll get into a little bit, that I do what I do in helping new injuries. But the gold medal game was intense. I was out there for 27 of the 32 minutes. Have any of you guys ever seen motivational posters, you know, where it shows like a kitten hanging from a tree and it says like, hang in there? Well, they got this thing called demotivational posters that are supposed to be funny and kind of stupid and whatever. The reason I brought this picture up is because this is a famous picture from the Beijing Paralympics. We had just defeated Japan. I was celebrating / angry because somebody had eaten the last cupcake. But somebody decided to make a motivational poster out of it. That has nothing to do with the story. I just thought it was hilarious, so I wanted to include it in it. So we won a gold medal in now I'm going to go back to control for a minute, talk about control, and what I was able to control and not control during the Paralympics, because this is actually very important to the story. When I lost my legs, I couldn't control the fact that that had happened, the fact that I had lost them, the fact that they were gone, kaputs, done. But I could control the fact that my future was in my own hands, figuratively speaking. I could control the fact that my future would be as great and as bright as I wanted it to be. And I was unfortunately put in a very similar situation when I went to my first Olympics, when I was 23 years old. What should have been the happiest moment of my life quickly turned into a very beautiful tragedy. I found out I was going to the Olympics in December, right before Christmas of 2007. About 3 weeks before, right after Thanksgiving, my mother, the person who had got me through the weakest moment of my life, the person who had brought me from the brink of death and had literally been my motivating factor to get my life back, to accomplish everything that I did, to gain my independence, was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer. I found out when me and my dad were in Mexico scuba diving. Believe it or not, he told me over a tequila shot, which then I took several more. Wow, it's really good tequila too they got down there. I gotta figure out what we're As you go over like the $5 shit they get at Costco. Classing it up, they classing it up. Anyway, when I got back, I told her, I go, look, I'm gonna quit the team. I don't need to go to Beijing. You're sick. I want to move home. I'm gonna take a year off of college. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna, you know, you were there for me, and now I'm gonna be there for you. And she said the same thing that any mother would say. Absolutely not. She goes, there is no way that I'm gonna stop you from going to the Olympics. There's no way that this is a once in a lifetime chance, and I'm not gonna stop you from you know, going to the Olympics, from accomplishing it. And I go, okay. Fine. But you have to promise me that you're going to be alive long enough to see me win. And she goes, only if you promise me that you'll win me a gold medal. So this could have been enough to really get in my head. This really should have gotten in my head. But instead I used it as a motivating factor. Now, if you haven't noticed, my family has the gift of a very sick and twisted sense of humor. So me and my mother would call each other and motivate each other. I'd be training for the Olympics and I'd call her and go, oh, I'm exhausted, I just pushed 10 miles and I've been lifting hard and I'm sore and I'm tired. And she would go, yeah, well, I got cancer. Well, shit, what can I say about that? You win. And she would call me and go, oh, you know, I just had a really bad chemo and I just feel really sick and I'm really uncomfortable. And I would go, yeah, well, I got meningitis. Oh, yeah, and I'm training for the Olympics. And we would motivate each other. And she fought hard against cancer, and I fought hard, training hard for the Olympics. When we got over there, or right before I left, I should say, I called her one day. We were in Denver. We were at the Olympic Training Center in Denver, ready to leave. And I called her, and she just sounded really miserable, really sick. So I got off the phone, and I sent her a bouquet of roses. And as I was getting on the flight, she calls me in tears and just goes, "You're the best son ever. You're my favorite child." But she didn't say that at that moment. She did several other times. But you're the best son a mother could ask for. You make me cry. I love you so much. And in the roses, I wrote, "To the first woman I will ever truly love, you're my reason to fight in China, and you'll be with me in China." I got on a plane, I flew over, and I talked to her a little bit. The day before we started playing China, we had 11 days in China before we started playing. The wheelchair rugby is one of the last events to take place in the Paralympics. So the whole time I'm calling her and we're training, and I could hear her getting a little sicker every day and every day and every day. And the day before we started playing, I called her and she goes, "Well, I don't want you to panic, but I checked myself into a hospital. Because I was just having a hard time breathing. I don't want you to panic, I don't want you to think anything's wrong, I don't want you to think you have to come home. You still made that promise, you still have to win." And I went, "Okay." We opened up the next day against China. I called her, and she sounded a lot weaker. And I said, "Hey Mom, just want to let you know we beat China, and I love you." The next day we played Japan. And I called her again, and she sounded a lot weaker. I said, "Hey Mom, just want to let you know we beat Japan, and I love you." The next day, we beat Canada, our arch rival. And again, I called her. But she couldn't come to the phone. One of my family members picked up, and immediately when I heard her voice, I knew this isn't good. And I said, "You know what, just pass along the message that we beat Canada, and I love her." The next day we played Great Britain in the semifinal game. And again I called home. I didn't ask to speak with her, I just said, "Just tell her that I love her, and that we beat Great Britain, and tomorrow your son is playing for an Olympic gold medal." Before the game, I remember I was so focused the game started at 6, and around noon, I put my sunglasses on, I put my hat down low, and I put my music on with like some badass heavy metal like Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, blaring in my ears. I'm kidding, it was like Rage Against the Machine or Metallica or something, blaring in my ears, and I immediately was just trying to get in the right mindset. I didn't want any outside distractions, I didn't want my mind to think about what was going on at home, because in my mindset, and this is going back to control, this is going back to me not being able to control meningitis, what would happen after. In my mindset, I'm in China. Whatever happens in New York, whatever's happening in New York, in that hospital, I couldn't do anything about it. You can't do anything about life or death. All I can think is, if she's going to die, she's going to die proud. The only thing that I could control was what was about to happen on that rugby court. The only thing that I could control was what was going to happen, where I was going to be in the next couple hours, and what I was going to do with my life. Before the game, my teammate came up to me and he said, "How's your mom?" I go, "I don't know, I think she might be dead." He goes, "Well, what can we do?" I said, "Let's just win a gold medal." That is literally the only thing that we could do. If I was back in New York, if I was by her bedside, she would have died anyway. And I would have been miserable, and she would have been miserable, because she would have known that it was killing me, tearing me apart being there. Instead, I wanted to be winning a gold medal to her. I wanted to be fulfilling my last promise to her. I started the game, and I finished the game. And when it was all said and done, I was voted the MVP of the game. I got my gold medal, and I got my roses. And, God, I wish I had a video of it. This is a still taken from a video. And in the video, I hold up the roses, and you can see my mouth clearly go, "This is for you, Mom." Meanwhile, back home, what I didn't know is she was still alive, but she was in a coma. She had been in a coma for about 2 days at this point. But she was fighting. She was hanging in. Because as much as I was fighting for my promise, she was fighting for hers. I went straight from the gold medal game with my family, flew back to New York. We landed at 5:30. We got to the hospital, 5:30 at night. We got to the hospital at around 7. She died at like 4:58. She died 20 hours after I had won a gold medal. And everyone kept coming up to me, even right after she died at the hospital, everyone kept coming up to me and going, "You know, you're really taking this well." And yeah, I was very upset, but at the same time, how could I be upset? She had fulfilled her promise to me, and I had fulfilled my promise to her. How could anyone be upset by that? The whole funeral, I had a medal on her casket. I buried her holding those roses. I didn't bury her with a medal. I mean, it's a gold medal, come on. I love her, but... Okay, Liv, come here for a second. Oh, she's shy, she's not gonna want to come up. Yeah, come here for a second. Reach right in there. Nope. This is what all that hard work did. This is what it paid off for. I always hear, I mean, not only kids, because I do a lot of I live in Arizona now, and I do a lot of talks with like high school and Pee-wee football teams, and I always hear kids say, "Well, I can't do anything now because I'm hurt." You could always do something. You could always find a way to bounce back. If this isn't proof that, I mean, shit, come on, I lost my limbs, and I was able to come back and win an Olympic gold medal. If this isn't proof that no matter what you have working against you, whether it be in sports, whether it be in your career, in life, no matter what, if this isn't proof that when bad things happen, you can still always come back from it, I don't know what is. And that's why I'm here speaking to you today. Because I want each and every one of you to know that when bad things happen in your life, and bad things will happen in your life. Oh, you can sit down. My sister, everyone. When bad things happen in your life, and bad things will happen in your life, you're not going to be able to control that. Life's not perfect. You can control what you do after. It's not the situations that happen in our life that define us. It's not the good or the bad. It's who we become because of it. It's how we react to it that defines us, that makes us the people that we are. And I always say that losing my legs, I don't regret it for a second. I mean, yeah, it sucked when it happened, don't get me wrong. But do I really regret the fact that I lost my arms and legs? No, I don't. I regret the fact that I ate too many cheeseburgers when I got to college and drank a lot of beer. Should have drank light beer. No flavor. It's not about what happens in your life, it's about how you react to it. It's about the person that it shapes you to become.